All right, let's take it on down from the missing to the mysterious. It's little Timmy Seanor and the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
It's good to have you back, my man, as we take a look at everything that's going on in the UFO world right now. And I'll tell you, there's some strange things happening around the world, Timmy. And I don't even know where to start. It's almost like we're back into that calm before the storm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely it does feel like that, especially knowing that UFOs are making the headlines again. I mean, that's definitely a pretty good sign that it's the wave coming. And so we know that there's been a hiatus on some of the people in Congress on this topic, but boy, we know that this wave is coming in with a lot of new information and details coming forward. So, how would you like to kick off tonight, Dave?
Well, I would like to spend some time because, yes, we saw David Grusch come out with a brand new interview today, okay, or within the last 24 hours. And I look at it, we've seen a little bit of political posturing lately, but really there hasn't been that spark of ufology that we've seen, for the past year. It seems like we've gone into a lull. And I don't know about you, Tim, but I'm very curious to get your opinion on this because to me, this is turning out to be exactly like a game of chess. Okay. Normally, I'm a checkers guy. I know how to play chess. I quit playing chess when I taught my daughter how to play, and she beat me in 9 moves in her second time playing. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I retire right there. But the point that I'm getting at with the analogy is the news seems to be not only slowing down, but the posturing on both sides. We see Tim Burchett, the congressman who's really wanting disclosure, trying to find another way to protect whistleblowers and everything. We see David Grusch coming out after his first appearance in weeks, since the last congressional hearing, where he was interviewed by a gentleman named Jesse Michaels, regarding the UFO studies and basically repeating everything that he's said to people like Ross Coulthart and others. We see the government basically trying to figure a way to shut this down, but everything has kind of gone quiet. And it's almost like I said, a game of chess right now where we're trying to figure out whose move is next. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I see a lot of things happening behind the scenes that I know are pivotal to what we're going to see coming in the media, right? And so we definitely get waves of information as it comes to us through the media and through the press. And usually it's because of things that are taking place behind the scenes. And then we see in the media the repercussions of that. And I think the lull that we're seeing now is because activities are taking place. And I think we also know that just recently, Avi Loeb has made a very vocal request for more funding for the second stretch of his Pacific investigation. And there's been quite a lot of media on that. And then we have the fact that David Grusch did make a new 2-hour interview, which in my opinion was a really great insight, kind of a friend's perspective of David Grusch, because it seems like there's been a long relationship between the host and David. And so it gives the audience kind of an insider's look at him and some of his personal takes on how he learned everything he did, and maybe some of his takeaways from it and some of his big picture takeaways. So it is a 2-hour interview, but I must say at the end of it, I did have some deeper insight into the man that brought us such, groundbreaking information. And I thought it really led a lot of credibility to him, in fact, getting to know him, and that it actually was a big, a mind blower for him, and he felt compelled to do it. And he took all the right channels to do so. And so it was a very brave move. And this 2-hour interview gave a little more insight into what his motivations were and some of his relationships on what motivated him to do this. He talks about Lou Elizondo and how the two of them speak, and how Christopher Mellon influences the whole perspective and brings his insight to the game. And so I think this is some pretty good insight. It's definitely something that we should all be aware of. And then, consider the fact that even I was bringing to this to you last week, that USA Today and big name media is covering this topic. And just last week, 3 times during the week, UFOs, not UAPs, UFOs were in either the first or second page of USA Today.
Well, you know what? I mean, the idea behind this is I'm really glad that David Grusch did this interview. Okay, I'm not sure. I've never heard of Jesse Michaels before. Maybe you could give us a little bit of insider information with whom this gentleman is. But I thought he did a great job. I really did, for a guy who maybe does not speak a lot of UFOs. I'm not sure about his show, and I apologize for that. But the questions that I heard, I thought were very poignant. They were very easy for Grush. They were very, they were very building. Like there wasn't a lot of controversy. There wasn't a lot of grilling on things, but that's okay. You don't need to grill in order to get information. Sometimes you get more bees with honey than with, salt water. I mean,
Exactly.
and I'm proud that David Grush came back out, and even if it was quite repeatable, the fact that after the beating he took from Washington D.C. and people trying to burn him on his health records due to PTSD, I thought that was excellent to see him back out on the trail. What I would like to see from him, and I doubt it will happen, but I would love for him to take on a couple of shows with true ufologist radio programs, whether it's us, whether it's Coast to Coast AM or other shows that are out there, people who actually know this subject. I would love to see him interviewed by them, because I think it would bring some a relative of importance to some of the questions that we aren't getting answered. Okay. Now people will say, well, what questions are those, Dave? What questions could a UFO radio show handle besides this? Well, we get to ask them, certain questions about the aliens that are here. He hasn't gone into specifics about that. He hasn't gone into specifics about craft details. Now he may not be allowed, but at least we could try and draw it a little bit closer to what we are getting at. Even if he has to talk hypothetical, we learn to read between the lines of what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I would love to see him do that. And I hope he does that. Maybe not now, but in the future. But I mean, the idea that after he was railroaded to come on out and get back in front on the bicycle, as the old cliche says, after wiping out, I think it was great. I
Yeah.
think it was good. What do you know about this Jesse Michaels?
So his show American Alchemy was where he presented this 2-hour interview. And we know that he has a strong background in physics, and he's a really intelligent dude. And so he actually brought a lot of intelligent questions to the table. And he asked a lot of the questions that I would have asked myself. And I did get one piece, at least, that I would love to share, that I thought was a great piece of insight. And it may have been right in front of our noses the whole time, but Grush points out that some of the crash retrievals and the materials that were potentially retrieved um, would be considered classified, and why they would be classified, and why the stories behind them would also be classified. And in his words, he was saying that a lot of the energy or radiation or radioactive materials that were collected at some of these sites instantly become above top secret, just simply because of the nature of what it is. Anything atomic or energy is going to run under some of those classifications. And we know the Department of Energy itself is the creator of these classifications. So it's not just up to the Pentagon or anyone there that necessarily classifies this information. It actually comes from the Department of Energy for a lot of how this is decided right at the source. So I thought that that was a very interesting piece of information that he goes into deep explanation for. And he also explains that Oppenheimer and the fact that back in those days, those were the people that were deciding some of these levels of classification, how information should be shared with the public or amongst themselves within the government. And so it's a great interview to watch, a lot of insight, and it shows that there is a lot of knowledge from the individuals that were coming forward as whistleblowers. And David himself shows that he possesses quite a deep library of understanding and knowledge on this topic, and expresses it really well in a comfortable, friendly situation like this interview was.
Well, I think the guy did a great job, and like I said, I hope David Grusch comes out a little bit more, and I hope he continues to throw that, you know, that that middle finger up at the establishment that doesn't want him to talk to him. That's how we're going to get answers. But like I said, I would like someone from the UFO world to finally interview him. And I'm not saying that Ross Coulthart didn't do a great job, because Ross did an incredible job with that. But sometimes you need follow up from proper people. I'm not saying that Jesse Michaels isn't that proper person. He's obviously a very smart scientist and asks intelligent questions, which is great. But I think not just for the UFO community, but for the community at large, even out there who is following every move that David Grusch makes, I think somebody who can understand the topic a little bit more on UFOs would be a great interview for him with great insight. And it doesn't have to be us. There's some great shows out there. There's dozens of great shows out there that could do this interview. It would be
Yeah,
great.
you're so right. And the podcast is such a great venue for a topic like this, where you can really say things that are on your mind and bounce it back comfortably with the host or panel participants. So I think you're absolutely right that the podcast venue is a great place to have this discussion. It would be great to see him get into something like that, with a total neutral party host, that just has no skin in the game, but just a lot of curiosity.
Yeah, I think it would be wonderful. And I think the other positive that we could take out of this too, my friend, is seeing David Grusch stand up to the bullying that he received. Okay, whether you like Grusch or not, that's irrelevant. He got bullied. He got bullied in a disgusting manner, and in a very unjournalistic way when his health records came out. And I think him coming back out and saying, screw you, you're not going to bully me away from what I know and what I've provided to Congress. I really do believe that that is a real strength of a leader, to show the other whistleblowers who may have questioned, because when we talked about this last, Tim, we were worried. Well, I don't know if you were, but I know I am. I was very worried about whether or not this would stop other whistleblowers from coming out, if there are reporters out there who are going to try and look for that every scab that everybody has, or the on their body, or how many skeletons in the closet do we each and every one of us have. We all have them, but do we want them coming out, right? And it really made me wonder whether or not this would scare off other whistleblowers. We had that conversation in the last
Did.
couple weeks here.
We
and and
did.
see, and seeing Grush come out, I think it adds a little bit of strength to these whistleblowers who may be on the fence, to say, you know what, he's doing the right thing, and that's going to re-energize some of these guys to come out.
You're absolutely right. In fact, he even addresses that in this new interview. And he speaks directly to the whistleblowers as if they're watching the show, and says that if you want to come out, there are avenues to do so. And he lists them. So I think it's really the kind of thing where he wants to show that it's possible, and that with the right lawyer, perhaps, and the right channels, as he explains, to do it safely, it can be done. And the fact is, they do express the fact that there was negative press on him in this interview, and he does talk about it. And the fact is it's something that almost shouldn't be addressed because it really doesn't change the path that he's on. And I think that he said it didn't make us lose focus, and it was just one of those things that you can kind of expect. And it's part of the plan. If you're coming forward, this could potentially come out. And I guess in the extended interview with Cold Heart, perhaps some of that information was talked about, but it didn't make it to the final cut. And so, even though he was potentially transparent about that in the initial interview, it didn't make it to the public. So it came out in a different way. So we'll never know, but I think it's a really great 2-hour interview to get to know David a little bit better.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful job. And with a minute to go here before we have to move on to the break at the bottom of the hour, Tim, I really do believe that this is a great sign of strength. The only thing that is going to create more strength for David Grusch, because we know all he really has is a lot of anecdotal stories and paperwork, because he's never seen anything with his own eyes. But the idea that we can get more people coming out and talking about this, that's the goal. All right. A waterfall starts with one drip of water. And we have a little bit of a run of water coming down that waterfall now. Now we just need more of these guys to send more water down.
That's
That's
right.
what's, because realistically, it's these whistleblowers. It's nobody in ufology, but it's these whistleblowers who really hold the keys to any type of disclosure, if that's what we're going for. Tim Seanor, the little Timbit that could, is hanging out with us tonight on the UFO Report. I don't know where we're going when we come back, but I know it's going to be about UFOs, because Tim usually brings UFO stuff with him. Spaced Out Radio continues with the final half hour next. Hi, Tim.
Dave.
How are you, buddy?
So tired, but good.
Nice.
The weekend that never happened.
I am so excited.
Work.
I'm really excited because the last time my boy and I got up early for school and we quickly put a roast in the slow cooker. By the time we got home that night, my house smelled wonderful.
You're so funny.
So I got the roast, I got the potatoes, I got the snap peas, some asparagus, mushrooms that we're going to put in there. It's going to be wonderful.
You're talking to a guy that's about to survive on garden burgers for like the next 6 months.
That's not a burger, Tim.
No, yeah. Spinach nut burger. Yeah.
Yep.
Meatless diet for me coming soon.
I'm totally looking forward to it.
That sounds amazing. And you've got your own recipe, I'm assuming, in your
you
do a dry rub with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of dry rub, and what I do is, like, my son is showing a real interest in cooking every now and again.
Awesome.
So I just let him okay, what spice do you want on there next? Let's throw a little bit into this, and why not?
Nice.
And the last couple times he's done it, it has turned out perfectly. Perfectly. So
sounds fun.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, it's one of those moments, one of those little father-son moments that I look forward to, and hopefully when he is a young man, adventuring on his own, whether it's college or whatever he chooses, that he can remember those moments of cooking with dad.
That's great stuff.
Dad. So
for sure,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's all the great stuff. And hopefully, you'll learn something from him. He sounds like he's got intuition for a lot of things, not just Bigfoot, but spices. Two
Yeah.
hands. So
Yeah.
cool.
So I kind of like it. So I'm looking
That's
forward to
great.
it.
And
You know,
it's
go ahead.
nice and far away from the house, right?
Nice and far away from the house. Why?
Your slow cooker, it's not like right up against the house or something, Dave.
No, it's on my stove, man.
Oh, okay.
Just a little one.
Oh, it's one of those ones. Okay, I thought this was like one outside, like a smoker or something. Okay.
No. No. I don't I'm not American enough to have one of those, 8 foot long by 4 feet wide slow cooker smoker barbecues.
I just assumed when you said slow cook, I was like, oh, he's got a pit. Right on.
Well, you've seen the fire pit.
That's so why that's now you know why I assumed you were doing it right, but you're doing it on your stove somehow and leaving the house
in my
all
crock
day.
pot. In my crock pot.
Oh, a crock pot, that's fine.
Thank you.
Slow cooker.
Thank
That's
you.
a Canadian slow cooker.
Yeah. Thank you, Sabrina.
Oh man.
Oob to Joe's Maine, you've got aliens. Mm-hmm. Throw it in the crock pot, slow it right down. Just let it sit there.
You're so funny saying that there's no news in the UFO world. There's so much.
Well, there is, but
think about those days when there was nothing. Today I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so much, in my opinion, so much going on. There used to be like nothing.
Well, there's always something going on, but is it relevant to moving the cause forward?
You want me to throw a couple at you? I think these are pretty major. For example,
Well, not yet. We're on here in like 1 minute, man.
Are we?
We're on the air.
I'll wait. I'll wait.
I'll wait.
Stuff.
That's right. You wait, man. You wait. Yeah. Who's this guy right here?
Dave's all about that. Hurry up and wait.
Mm-hmm. Hey, at least I'm going to get a nice roast beef dinner tomorrow night.
You are so lucky.
Yep. Nothing you can do about it.
What are you going to do for dessert? That's the big question.
Rolo ice cream.
Oh, I've seen that. That looks evil.
Yeah, it's very evil.
It's a good choice.
Freaking good.
You know, they have Kit Kat cereal now, too.
I just got some Kit Kat ice cream bars tonight.
Good choice. Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, those are very good.
Evil. There are other choices out there, but this is one heck of an option. We don't endorse anything on Spaced Out Radio, do we?
Major Lee, I don't understand. He says SOR is softballing this grifter. Who's the grifter? Is he calling?
Oh, they're saying Dave.
Hold on Grusch. Here we go. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Ready to bring the tinfoil to you. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join the Space Travelers Club on Patreon. Here we go, final half hour, and little Timmy Seanor is here with the UFO report. Tim, you're going to break it on down for us. What is going on around the UFO world, my man?
There's things happening, Dave. A few things. For example, the Black Vault has been very busy archiving and coming up with new information via FOIA, and recently came up with potentially what Lou Elizondo's deleted emails may be. A list, and from people, the to's and froms, and some of the details, along with another investigation that he's been doing over there at the Black Vault. John Greenwald has brought us the Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Applications Program, or OSAP, documentation. So, proof of the existence of the program and how they went about acquiring personnel for the program and other details have now been brought forward. So, the blackvault.com has all of that available with details, but the fact that some of this is coming forward is going to definitely push some of what people were unsure about into the light. And so that is coming forward this week. And along with that, the DoD releases contracts with Sandcorp outlining work for the UFO office Arrow. And that is also coming from John Greenwald over at the Black Vault. A lot of activity over there, and so making quite a stamp, but a lot of details coming forward via the FOIA process right now. Dave, did you want to jump in here very quickly with your thoughts on that new insight?
No, continue on.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
And along with that, we also have a new database being brought forward from the UAP Scientific Research Group. And so they have given a large database, including a large database of Australian UFO sightings. And that's dating back as far as the early 30s. And so that new database has been made public this week. Now, this is really the top of my list. And out of all of the interviews I've seen in a long time, this one really did top the list. A brand new interview came out just yesterday on the New Thinking Aloud channel on YouTube with Jeffrey Mishlove. And it's called Investigating the Paranormal. And it was a live stream event with Robert Bigelow. And this was, in my opinion, the best sit down that Robert's done in ages. And some of the insight that he brings forward in this interview was really intriguing. And so he brings up, current topics, his opinion on whistleblowers. He talks about metamaterials and current events along with historical events. And he answers a few questions that historically people had wondered about Robert in some of the other interviews he's done. He gives some answers, and it's really insightful, and it gives a new look at some of the new things people are wondering if he has, metamaterials like some of the other big corps supposedly do rather, and how the big corps would handle it. And so again, I definitely recommend everybody to go over to New Thinking Aloud at some point and check out what Jeffrey Mishlove has to say with his interview with Mr. Bigelow, because it's top of my list for interviews for the month at least.
Well, he also has a relationship with Robert Bigelow after Bigelow's near death studies essay that he put out there for $500,000 on the best essay, and I believe Mishlove placed in the top 3 in that.
That doesn't surprise me. In fact, survival of consciousness was really the topic of conversation. And they bring forward a lot of intriguing concepts on how everything is kind of connected. And he goes into some of his philosophies and what he's learned. And he talks about some of the scientific, you'd call it scientific discovery, quite literally, then that he has done over the past few years, whether it's using psychics or scientists. I think that there's a very close, uh, uh, you know, uh, bond there when it comes to this kind of topic. It's very fringe science. So the fact that he's using those two together to kind of get into the afterlife and consciousness concept. Now, he was saying that 25% of even our known galaxy and universe, I'll say universe, I think is what he was saying, is something that we can wrap our heads around. And the rest, or I think it was more like 5% that we understand, and the other 95% is all consciousness. And I thought that that was interesting to kind of see that that's where his head is in this game. And so he has really migrated from UFOs and aliens and that discovery to consciousness and afterlife and that connection, because we know that he was the
Yeah.
originator of Skinwalker Ranch and that whole investigation, that the origination of that. So where are you with all of that? And how do you feel consciousness somehow migrates everything all into one? Do you get on board with that, Dave?
I agree. The consciousness is a major part of the phenomena, and it involves everything and it wraps around everything. And this is what we've been trying to educate people on for a long time. That the phenomena is everything. It's it's godlike, if you want to put it that way. It is completely godlike, and we have to be able to, as researchers and as promoters of these subjects, start coming to that conclusion that everything falls under the phenomena, including consciousness and afterlife and near death studies and everything that goes along with it. So I think it works. I really do.
Yeah. And I think after you've perhaps experienced something that is unexplainable to you, and even Robert goes into some details how he's had personal unexplainable experiences. After you've had something like that happen, sometimes the phenomenon is something a little bit more, easily acceptable. Because on paper, it reads like a science fiction or comic book story. But when you live it or have an experience where you're just like, there's no explanation for this. And I think the example that Robert gives was an experience that he had, and you can listen to him tell this in the interview, where he ate a slice of pie one night and went to bed. And the next morning he came back down and he and his wife saw a completely full pie again. And somehow, you know, that pie had miraculously uncut itself and he had uneaten it. And to him, that was enough to say that he'd experienced something phenomenal. Now, it may be a different experience for each of us. It may be something more special or less special. But I know I've seen things, Dave, and I know you have, and we've captured things on camera together, so we know there's something else out there. But to the layman or perhaps someone that's new to the show or new to the phenomenon itself, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around the fact that consciousness is intertwined so closely. And I find that really interesting how they're so related, and that once it's aware, perhaps that you're aware of it, now you're intertwined and there's no shaking it. And it's like unknowing something. You can't unknow it. Do you agree with that concept?
Oh, I think that's absolutely right. I really do think that's absolutely right. And why wouldn't it be? Why, I mean, we don't know where we're going. We don't know the idea behind everything that's kind of following through, where we're supposed to follow it and where we're supposed to go with it, Tim. We
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, and
Eh,
it can send chills up your spine sometimes, Dave, can't it? When you come
oh,
in
sure.
contact, with something that you're just like, "Oh my gosh, that just really happened." It's chilling and it's a, you know, Bigelow calls it a gift. It is a gift, isn't it?
It is a gift. It's a big time gift, and Robert Bigelow, I think, is a lot more closer to the answers than what he likes to let out to be. Okay. This is a man who has spent tens of millions of his own dollars, whether it's with Skinwalker Ranch, whether it's UFOs and aliens, whether it's now near death studies. Imagine that, how he studied the entire phenomena and put his own money into it to learn.
I can
Why
relate.
has he done it? There's rumors as to why he's done it. There's
Yeah.
rumors out there. The one rumor is that he has been distraught since he lost his son a number of years ago and has been trying to recommunicate with him. Okay, there's other rumors that he just is a whack job who just is eclectic and wants to see what else is out there and hire the best people for it. There's rumors that, like he said on 60 Minutes, that his grandparents had a close encounter with a UFO, and as a kid, that kind of turned him on to the subject. Don't know. Don't
Yeah.
know. Hey, some billionaires spend their money on NFL teams or NBA teams or Major League Baseball or watch collections or whatever it may be. Others spend it on UFOs.
Yeah.
It's quite okay.
And I think once you see Close Encounters and realize that Spielberg used Jacques Vallée and others from Blue Book and things like that as references for his film, and then you see his film, I think that that should impact you, knowing that that was based, somehow on collectively what was going on, at least in a lot of what was being studied and their concept of what was possible, at least, if not a case, we don't know. But the fact is that we know that historically this is a pretty big topic, and whatever it takes for you to kind of understand the potential of it, I think that's great. Whether it's through Spielberg, and expect, by the way, a lot coming from Spielberg. He's not done helping us with this topic. But the fact is, there's a lot more coming. And the fact is, I think, Dave, you even expressed this earlier, saying how it's a Pandora's box. I really feel like it is open at this point. And even though you may see a little bit of quiet in the media that you're reading, or it's not in the news, there's a lot going on. Congress may not be in session at the moment, or maybe it is, but it doesn't mean the topic isn't being investigated and talked about. And there may be a church committee coming, and talking about things coming up in the future. I see a big push coming, another big push, before they let this go. And I think we'll see more whistleblowers.
Well, let's start to trickle. And let's hope it starts. So, what else you got for us, Tim?
Well, really, that was it. I was just kind of hoping that we could talk a little bit more about the fact that the Black Vault is bringing some of these FOIA cases forward. We have a lot more transparency now, knowing that perhaps everything that Elizondo was saying about what was going on and how he was being handled in that program, we might see it now being revealed as true. We know he has a case, David Grusch has a case against the people that were his higher-ups, and potentially how he was handled and the mismanagement of him themselves and their roles in Arrow, or previous to that was what, OSAP? I'm sorry, I'm going to kind of forget here. But anyways, in his role, he has that case still going. And so we're starting to see that, yes, there were deleted emails, and that, yes, the OSAP did exist, and now we have documentation on both, and potentially see some of those deleted emails and why they were so important to be deleted. Dave, do you feel like that's going to move things forward for this side?
No, I don't. John Greenwald does a great job at bringing the facts. Okay, but the one thing we have learned with John Greenwald, and I like the man, I think he's a good man. Okay, but the one thing that we've learned from him over time here is every time he does something really, really good like this, there seems to be a play on words of his own opinion that takes a shot at Elizondo or takes a shot at Grusch or takes a shot. I mean, I don't like a lot of that. Okay, but that's a personal opinion. Okay, do I hold it against John? No, John's doing what he feels is best, and people should check it out. He's on but at some point, what is he going to? I don't even understand what he's trying to find with Elizondo anymore. I really don't. And to me, it seems like we're going in circles.
Yeah, I think he was trying to shoot holes in some of the claims, and what he found was support. of his claims. And so I don't necessarily listen to the podcasts from Black Vault, but I do go to the website and read the documentation that's provided via FOIA. And so in both of these cases, there are links provided, and you can go and see the potential deleted emails that we believe are part of this release. And you can see how they were FOIA'd and why we believe that they are applicable. And then you can also go in and take a look at the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Applications Program documentation, that the OSAP program, and see all of the information that was surrounding that program and how they decided who was going to be a part of it and what the program itself was going to highlight. So I think, potentially he had FOIA'd that to be able to say that I FOIA'd it and there was nothing. But instead, what he found was quite a lot of information in support of some of the claims that Elizondo had made, where he had said that he had left because of how he had been treated. And, some of the programs itself was even in question. So now we know the program definitely existed.
Well, we knew that forever. We knew that 6 years ago. Okay, we knew it 6 years ago.
Indeed.
So what? Just because, and this is the issue that we have in this community. And I'm not saying that we have a shot. This is a shot at John Greenwald, okay? Because once again, I really appreciate his dogged nature on things.
Yeah.
I may not agree with a lot of it, or some of it, I should say, but I appreciate his dogged nature and candor, and I do think that he does get a raw rap sometimes. Okay. But for the most part, I'm a big fan of John's. But at some time, you can't have this attitude. We have this attitude in the UFO world that if I don't have the answers, or if I can't find the answers, or until I prove it, nothing means nothing. And we have too much of that in this field. We knew about this 6 years ago when it was first announced, then confirmed by people like the late Harry Reid. So now that John has put it out there, now we're all supposed to be, oh, well, now John's proved it, so now it's good to go. It's not how it works. Not how it works. That's a grudge. That isn't journalism. That isn't FOIAing. That it's a grudge.
Well, for my final topic, we kind of touched on this last Wednesday, but we're talking about how UFOs have broken into America's backyard and no one is effectively coordinating any response, right? Where is the response? How is the government handling it? How is the Pentagon reacting to it, other than reacting with the fact that they don't exist? So, Dave, now the funny thing is that they are finally taking some public response here, and we know that Arrow's new website is actually geared towards taking not only aviation and military reports, but public reports as well. And so their interest turning to the public here, and we're wondering, why are they asking the public instead of themselves when it's our airspace being infringed upon? Dave, what's going on with this?
I don't know. Tim,
It's the new spin. Is it our responsibility now? Are they putting it back on us? What is the point of an Arrow website that talks about hotspots?
Well, look, Arrow is planning on getting together with Enigma Labs. That's going to be their private group. We already know that. Okay, it just hasn't been announced, but everybody in the UFO world knows that's going to happen. Okay, and when you got that, once again, it's all about control of the narrative. All about control, Tim, and we either take it or leave it. We can fight it, which we should, but the best thing that we can do is bring information as to what is good and what is bad for people. Tim, we got to wrap this thing up because it is that time of the night where we got to say goodbye. And I'm I'm sad that you're leaving, Tim. I'm sad that you're leaving for tonight.
Thanks,
We'll
Dave.
talk to you in a couple of nights. Time.
It's been fun. It's been fun.
Big thank you to Tim Seanor, to our good friend Steve Stockton, and to our guest Alex Giannetti. Tonight, we got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.